That looks better. Now we're live.
Okay, so here we are, take two. We initially started late a few minutes ago because we had that anomaly called customers, something that we really had to pinch ourselves to find out what they were. But anyway, and they came in, actually one of them had a mask, the other one we had to give a mask to, but that's because we are an all-purpose, keep you safe kind of environment. So now we are, I gotta get my grasp again because of course this is actually take two, which you're seeing as take one. However, next week, which is Thursday, not the whole week isn't Thursday, but next week on Thursday, we are having our first major exhibition of the year. That exhibition is Rocks in My Head, aptly titled Carol Rossman's show. I don't mean Carol having rocks in her head, I mean that the show is aptly titled. Now, Carol is probably one of the most significant and extraordinary raku artists in the country. Her inspiration comes from the canyons of the Southwest, frequently referred to me as the canyons of the Midwest, but there is nothing like that in Chicago, I promise you. So anyway, unless something happens down there, who knows? So Carol would go down, she'd go horseback riding, she'd take lots of photos, and those photos would prove to be the inspiration for the works that she created. And interestingly enough, I mean, she connected with the late Maria Ortiz, one of the most significant ceramic artists of the Southwest, and does extraordinary work. Now, back when Soldner, who was the person who instituted smoked raku to North America, totally accidentally, because I mean the raku family in Japan, they didn't smoke it. Smolder, well, I guess that kind of works. Soldner accidentally set fire to a bunch of stuff, smothered it, and then when they took off the lid and the pieces were cool, bang, you had smoked raku, which has been with us ever since. Like a lot of popular trends, smoked raku was very, not only very popular, it was popular and there was a lot of really, really bad raku, often which the glazes, which were sprayed on randomly, didn't survive. So any of you who remember buying a really brilliantly colored piece of raku in the 70s or the 80s, and you're now looking at that lump on your dining room table, that is because they didn't know what they were doing. Carol, on the other hand, I have been to her home and seen examples of her early work, and hers are as bright as the day they were created, and Carol is equally as bright as the day she was created. So there we go. Now, what we're going to look at, so back here, I'm going to take you back to see there. Now you notice the striations. Okay, so here, look at this piece. Okay, I've shown you this before. This is really quite wonderful because here you've got this pot in a very, very traditional Southwest form, and then you've got the raku piece. So it's almost like the pot has given rise to this extraordinary example of raku. But I really want you to look in there. Now, as you can see, and you can see inside, you can see that this has all been done in strips. So they've been applied, they've been, and then she's adhered them with a slip, and then she's done her design, so all of these lines where you see the smoked part coming through, that is actually, she has taped this whole thing out, which means that she has far more patience than I have, will ever have, or ever intend to have. But you know, that is, again, as I've said time and time again, the whole, and we talked about it when we did the video on Jane Wilson last week, it's the meditative effects of just doing something, repeating something, and continuing to work on it. So here you've got these wonderful, wonderful lines. So just so you know, as I say, next week we are having the exhibition of her work, Rocks in My Head. And the other thing that we're doing is that because there won't be our usual extravagant gala where everyone's there in fancy shoes and white wine and doing the la-di-da, we are looking at, people will make appointments to come in, we will have an opening, but people will come in groups of 5. Anyway, we'll still have wine, we'll still have all this stuff. But it's sort of like, what we thought we would do is that today we are showing you, we're going to unwrap one box of what you're about to see and what you're going to see next week when the whole show, and Brian's been cracking the whip, so he is getting our exhibition hall organized for me to paint. normally we would have somebody in painting, but then normally we would have more money. So he has commissioned me to do it for free, and we are going to be repainting the room. Everything's going to look absolutely fabulous. And then, but today, next Tuesday, and next Thursday, we are dedicating ourselves to my expounding on the extraordinary works by Carol. Okay, so on last Thursday, and if any of you didn't see the Jane Wilson video last Thursday, there are only 8 T-bowls left. So, and anybody, by the way, who wants to see one of those T-bowls, you can just give us a call, because I did mini videos of the ones that are left that are 7 or 8 seconds, and we can actually send you a video of glass. So anyway, there you go. That's enough of that. So here is one of the examples of, oh my God, this is a bloody feather. So this is one of the examples from Rocks in My Head. Now, this is the first one that, and I don't know if she planned it to look like a brain, but this is one of the very first pieces that I did go to the opening, and I do kind of remember this sitting on a pedestal, but there was so much extraordinary work. But again, look at that. So all of these lines that you're seeing that are black, that is actually the smoke absorption into the place. And then you've got so can you imagine the time? The time that has gone into this is absolutely extraordinary.
Well, and controlling the colors.
The control in the colors is incredible. And then remember, every time that you put one of these thin little pieces of tape around this undulating vessel, no, it's not a vessel, it's a sculpture, but it does have a little hole there. That's where the lemmings are. But anyway, it's pretty amazing. And then here you'll see, now I call it enamel, but they call it glaze. I think the difference between glaze and enamel, like I'm just referring to it as the after effect, being it's got like a very enamel-like look to it. But probably, and somebody's going to shout out and correct me, I guess that it's because enamels we think of are powders that fuse, and this is a glaze which is brushed on as a liquid. But just look at that. So again, you can see, whoops, sorry, whoops. So there again, look at that, and then you see how the influence of the canyons, it's all there.
And that piece is in the
So because none of you are going to be going to the Southwest this year, you can have your own little piece for less than the price of your B&B. And here's some more. Did you say this piece is in
That piece
here?
is in there.
Oh, and is that it? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so look here. So this is, and we do have some of these, and look at that. This show, by the way, was curated by, where the heck is he? Oh yeah, he's on the front, wherever. Peter Flannery is the person that curated. He did a beautiful job. It was wonderfully laid out, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Brian ups the ante. Oh, and here's Carol on a horse. Yeah, that's her there, looking all very, she's looking tall in the saddle, which doesn't happen when she gets off the horse. Anyway, so there we go. Now, Brian is pushing me ahead because he's got tons to do. Oh, and just so you know, Carol also did a pedestal for this piece. So this can actually live on that for somebody who, so it really elevates the work by about 1.5 inches, but you don't need the pedestal to enjoy the quality of the work. And now, moving right ahead, Brian has selected something for me to look at. Do I have any idea what I'm doing?
You do not, but I do.
Oh, okay. So here we are. I'm opening something. You know, opening up these damn things is always so, I'm assuming that there is nothing here that's going to fall apart on me.
I hope not.
If so, I'm glad that Carol's probably, is Carol watching?
Not today.
She's not watching?
She'll watch it after, I'm sure.
Yeah, because she's probably too bloody nervous. Oh, look at this. So
Ooh.
Is this?
It's a stand for something.
This is a stand for something tilt. Okay, so there you go. Now here is quite different. Now if you notice here, what she's done is she's actually...
That's the sodium...
Silicate?
Sodium silica, yeah.
Yeah. So remember, what's her name? Judy Blake and her sodium silicate. So here's Carol doing sodium silicate, and so she's drawn something through. So done it like combed it through. So this is totally different from the taped technique that we have there. All right. And now, moving right along, this is rather quite so. Again, it is And this is a diaper.
She learned that technique in the Southwest.
It was in the Southwest, actually, that the people who do the pots there said the best thing for protecting is a diaper. And there we go. And here, and of course, the plastic, because the dry, oh my God. Woo. Oh, shoot. Please note I did not swear. Okay, now look at, again, so you've got this wonderful, so all of this design here is taped. And then here, very, very traditional, like a chattering, like banging it in. So you've got this, is that?
No.
No, that's not it. That's not the stand for this one. But isn't that, so a really wonderful, wonderful form. Whoops. And I can see that she's using scrap paper. But the most important thing to remember about this work is that this is where you really want to bag it.
It's the best way.
Yeah. So here, ooh. Oh, now this is lovely. This is very, very simple. This goes on the wall. So you can see this is actually doesn't go on the wall. This is a stand, but it could go on the wall.
1057?
Okay, so 1057. So that, is that 1057?
No.
Of course, remember, we are opening these boxes randomly. So we are opening pieces that don't necessarily go together. Whoops. I think I better go down here. So you can see here, there's the same technique, but the finishing stuff. And this one is just all the different black. Isn't that wonderful?
I love the ribbon effect.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Oh, and here, yeah, this is
A stand.
a stand.
What number is it?
This one is stand number, this is 1060 is the number. So there we go. Is this 1060?
No.
Oh, this is 1060.
Oh,
there you
we
go.
We got a matching set.
So there we've got a matching set. Now look at, again, the nice thing about Carol's stands is they really do elevate the work. And now we are moving on to another piece here. Again, I don't know what's going to happen when we outlaw plastic, but there we go. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is pretty cool. This is absolutely,
Ooh.
Look at that. So this really, really,
That's stunning.
look at the coloring, that really red rock coloring, and this is to be tilted. So one of the nice things, Carol really thinks that, can we just move that? There you go. Do you want to go and hold that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes there. It gets tilted.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, there we go, and there we go. Isn't that fantastic? So you've got that wonderful red rock there, all the striations, and then out here, she has carved into it, and the smoke firing is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So there you've got, again, Carol really thinks, by the way, you know, Carol used to be a research person, and so the attention to detail that a researcher would need is, actually, she's not the only one researcher. Carol, Zuzia Montessori, who also does extraordinary raku work, was also into research. And here, this is just, okay, now folks,
Jeez.
Jesus Christ. Look at that.
1056? That is stunning.
That is absolutely incredible. That is just
Oh my God.
beautiful. And you know, Carol uses very traditional Southwest forms, and those forms that are done by the people there. She's really extraordinary in what she's done. And again, look at the way that the attention to detail. Again, you've got to remember, all of this black is tiny little pieces of tape, and then when you got everything taped, which can take hours and hours and hours. If you go back and you look at the earlier video that we did on Carol Rossman, there's a piece where she told us that the taping alone took 21 hours. But just look at that. And I'll tell you, we have pieces of hers that we sold years and years ago. Because Carol, by the way, Carol came here, the first time that we encountered her was in 2006 for the Matter of Clay 2, where Carol came into the shop. leading a parade of people from somewhere or other to look at the show, and she was, oh my God, she was as excited as a kid. And then she said to me, she said, you know, she says, this is where I want to be. And then she called me up the next day, and she had, you know, sent photos and everything, and she was going on and on about how she wanted to show here. And I said, look, I said, Brian and I have criteria, and the criteria is we've got to like you, we've got to like your work. Well, she called me up and I said, here's the criteria. I mean, that's what the criteria you got to make. And I said, I haven't seen your work, but you're halfway there. So for the past number of 16, 14, for 14 years, we have been showing Carol, and this is just absolutely stunning. And there again, so there you've got some of the examples of the work that we'll be showing in the show next week. I don't know how many pieces there are. I do know that the pieces will all be of this caliber. If there's a piece today that you're interested in, contact us so that you can reserve the right of first refusal. We know that this is going to be a completely different show, but it's really important to us that A, that we have the show up and running, because B, we've got rent and Brian's wages, and C, Carol's got a pool to pay for. Okay. Actually, I'm kidding. She's paid for the pool. Okay. And it's a nice pool, too. Anyway, so there you are. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. I hope you had a wonderful Canada Day. Be safe. Wear a mask. Bye.